frankly, this is the first inaugural edition. Okay, so both PD and I, we're not really very sure, how we will go about it. But given that Manish is here, right, and given that he has this whole expertise around startups, around tech, around AI, right, and Rezo, the company has been one of the pioneers when it comes to AI and ML. So we thought, let us try to, get some insights from people who are actually doing it.
So I think Rezo has been building large language models based customer support automation for the last how many years?
5.5.
5.5 years now. So I think let's start there. Let's understand how the technology space has moved. If they have moved their own stack from the old large language models to the new generative AI stack, and what has been their journey for customer support automation.
First of all, thank you guys. Thanks Pawan, thanks PD, and thank you everyone for kind of hosting me here. And good to see good audience. So obviously I've seen Shorthills. It's really amazing to see the way that you guys are growing, the way new initiatives are being undertaken. In fact, Pawan and PD were also kind of sharing the thought process, the growth roadmap, what other strategic things being worked upon. So I think great stuff. You are in safe hands, you're in great hands. So you need to pat your back and you should appreciate the fact that you're part of this journey. So going back to your question, Pawan, how it all started. So essentially, I've been in the industry even prior to Rezo. It was almost 15 years that I was in the industry, was in tech and product roles. And my co-founder, Rashi, is a data scientist. So I was working with RateGain, Rashi was working with WNS, which is a call center. And that's where, incidentally, what happened was, I was given a responsibility for automating a certain task, which was humanly done for last 10 years. And jitne bhi log laga do, it was always less. And on the other side, Rashi was given a task for automated data interpretation and analysis of that using language models. And we both were able to solve that problem independently. I was able to solve it using technology to a certain way. Rashi was able to solve it using data science in a certain way. And then we were comparing notes, and what we realized was two different kind of industries, very different. One is a product company, other is a contact center. And there is a problem that is there, which is core to that respective companies, which has not been solved over so many years. So that means this is a much larger problem. And that's where we realize there's an opportunity that unstructured data for the enterprise is a big dead end, whether it's voice, whether it's text, whether it's documents, images, whatever it is. So unstructured data is a dead end for the enterprises. And that's where we realized with the onset of cloud, with the onset of AI, this is a solvable problem. And that's where we started the journey. We took the plunge, started figuring out what needs to be done, what are the, product market fit. Our initial few versions, everyone loved it, but no one paid us money. They said, oh, this is amazing. But I can't pay you beyond, maybe few thousand rupees or 50,000 rupees. Then we had to pivot ourselves to figure out what is that offerings which enterprises will be more than willing to pay. We went into that journey, and today we are, in fact, we have recently given out our new pitch. We are autonomous contact center. We go to the enterprise and say we are the call center, but powered by AI agents. And that is something which really resonates well with the enterprises. So that's the journey.
One question which I have is, how has AI transformed the efficiency of operations? People are talking about we are using this, right? But now you've at least seen it. What was being done humanly now with AI there. What about the efficiency?
So today we are about 150 member team, of which we have tech, we have product, sales, all the functions. The team which runs or manages the operations is 5-member team. That's it. Everyone else, 145 people out of 150, are working on the forward-looking roadmap. Only 5 run the operations today across all clients. And those 5 people handle the entire volume of our operations. And today we do around 25 lakh calls a single day. So 5 people are managing 25 lakh calls a day, right? And 25 lakh calls a day, just to give a perspective, will be equivalent to a 15,000 seater call center. So imagine that is the efficiency we are talking about, right? So automation can give, obviously it can't go beyond 100, but I would say tending to 100 as a possibility. It will take ages to go like touch 100, I understand, but I think yes, sky is the limit. It's all about how you look at it.
When it comes to corporates, right? Because essentially, of course, if you are using LLM, hardware, whatever, right? Are the corporates, also seeing, those kind of cost savings at the end of the day? One, that is one part of the question. Second, when we essentially, and all of us would have, I'm sure, been through a call where we had really, kind of split our heads trying to explain what the issue was, right? It is so difficult, even to explain an issue to a human being. And now if I have to, do that with a robot or an AI system, right? I don't know whether I'll survive that call. So on these two angles, one from the corporate side, is it really, that beneficial in terms of savings overall, and in terms of the efficiency of the calls, their ability to understand what the customer is saying on the other end, right? Are we really seeing almost good, results in terms of numbers? What has been your experience on that?
So the benefits for the enterprises are very tangible. So tangible that within a matter of, they are able to see those benefits within a matter of a month of deployment. And the benefits I'm talking about is maybe anywhere between 30 to 50% of the cost saving from the status quo. So if an enterprise is spending X amount today, going forward, their cost will be X by 2 after paying Rezo.
Will that X by 2 become X by 4 as well in next 6 months or 8 months? That's another question.
I'm pretty sure Moore's law will apply, but obviously we are not giving that discounting right now.
And what will be the reason of that? Because the AI system would become better and better, as Paramdeep was asking, or was it the same system just because they would have seen more data, they are bound to become better? Or is this some kind of mix of both these effects? And then where will that end, at somewhere?
So for us, when we say we are a call center, we are not just a call center, right? We actually give the voice of the customers to the enterprises in part of it. We give a live dashboard. We give the right customer persona, right? We have personas in such a way that, for example, when my system calls you, Pavan, it will know what is the time that you will pick up the call. And it will try to call you at that time.
Isn't that scary?
No. Because ultimately it's something which is of value to you, right? Rather than hogging you left, right, center, doing back-to-back calls, spamming you on WhatsApp or otherwise, it's better to kind of call you in such a way that the calls are, the customer doesn't get irritated and the value is there. So there is a certain decency in which things have to be adopted, right? And that is what we really make sure. So that's your first question in terms of the cost, right? The cost kind of, so the enterprises are getting a lot of benefit out of it. Second, in terms of the end user experience. Right?
Yep.
So I gave you one data point in terms of identifying the probability of you picking up the call. So that's there in the system, that intelligence is there in the system. But in terms of the overall experience, I will give you 2-3 data points here. One, If we compare the percentage of calls completed with humans and with AI engine, the probabilities of calls getting completed with the AI engine is 50% over and above. We have ample of case studies around this. That's one. Second is the AHT, which is the average handling time or average call time, is typically reduced to half because it goes very fast in terms of backend lookup of the systems. So imagine when you have an issue and you call up the customer care, they'll look into 3, 4 different systems. Systems will hang, it'll take time. They will put you on hold for half a minute, 1 minute. But out here, the way we kind of integrate, we integrate on the API level, and the responses are like sub-seconds. So those things go super fast. Tuck, 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 done. And ultimately, please also understand, customer wants the process to get completed at the earliest, right? You want the resolution to be there and through and through. And there are cases which are super complicated. Let's say you are talking to the operator and you need international roaming enabled, but your phone is not with you, and the SIM card, your kid has thrown the SIM card on the ground. So that kind of a complicated situation, if you have to wait for half an hour and get the resolution, I think you should be okay, right? The AI systems are not there at the moment to be able to handle these kind of queries, but that's okay.
And when you speak to customers, as in, are they willing to shift? Do they think that sort of it's people who want to speak to people, or at least from the enterprise decision making, are they completely okay to deploy bots to speak with human?
See, change is constant, and resistance to change is also constant. So it's a balancing act. And whenever you get new technologies in the market, you have to find out ways by which you can have the adoption of those technologies.
Are enterprises, comfortable having a bot talk to their customers? Because we know all these AI systems, they hallucinate. A, so you might ask something, they might give answer to something else. B, I mean, they would be toxic to some extent, of course, there are now so many measures to remove toxicity, right? So I'm sure customers, with especially, talking for their car service, they would eventually, shout at the, guys, your bots. And of course, your bots would be trained to handle that, right? Again, the argument goes that a human can be trained not to hallucinate. Of course, they will do their own thing beyond a point, right? But with models, this has been a problem, and there are so many, guys working especially on models over here. So we see this. How do you handle that part?
So, very valid question, and there are multiple ways again. One is we have emotion detection as part of the conversation. Obviously, the bot will not yell, but an emotion detection aspect is there. What we go to the enterprises and say, you know what, if you want, these are the disgruntled customers. How do you want us to report these cases to you? Do you want us to transfer these users to the agents on a real-time basis? We can do that. Or you want us to tell you or give you a list of these users end of the day so that your specialists can reach out to them and solve their problems. So there are multiple ways. But yes, what is really important is, guys, please understand, when you use any kind of AI models, do not just believe that running the POC or copying the model from some website and running it is it. Please do not even think about it. That is just hello world. Game is all about going deeper into it, understanding the nuances.
So it's true, as much as that data or AI is kind of the future, right? But isn't it true that still the bulk of the work, getting the data, porting it, cleaning it, the ETL, the old dirty work, isn't that the grunt work still, and it will remain the same even in future?
Uh, Relatively, no. Absolutely, yes. So let me answer that. Let me explain that. see, what's going to happen is, I think if I go back 10 years from today, there is no respect for data.
Agreed.
Correct? No one, data for them was
A waste, a byproduct.
and they're in the storage for compliance reasons. You need to have 2 years, 3 years of data, but they don't know what to do. Right? Fast forward maybe 5 years, which is not maybe today, people have started understanding that there are possibilities of getting some data, some information from data. And hence, now the data which was stored in a very bad way needs to be, and the systems are designed that way. Now the data pipelines and everything is required to make them usable. Right? Fast forward 10 years or 15 years from today, the absolute amount of data that will get generated will be phenomenal. I mean, much, much larger than what we have today. But the systems which will get designed from today will not have that bad architecture. Because at the time of architecture design itself, they'll keep in mind that the data is required for analysis, for insights and everything. So the overall quantum of data ingestion will increase, but at the same time, there will be a lot of system designs and system architectures which will also support that off the shelf. But yes, data engineering, ETL, which used to be back in days, in fact, I was, long back, like I think almost 20 years, 18 years back, I was part of a ETL project in US. So I know what kind of effort is required, but today it's much more, I would say, responsible kind of a definition, because people really know what is the power that they bring on the table. That I think is there, and it's a respected field. And as I said, it is required, it is there, it will be there, but then the future will be the AI part, generative AI part. It's all about how you want to balance it out.
So I wanted to ask, there could be some critical questions that needs to be answered. A customer is asking for a particular type of discount, and if there's a real person, he could end up giving that discount by taking a risk over his job. But a bot cannot be fired, or you can't just deduct a salary from his account. So how you address this particular challenge?
So let's take a step back and let's try and understand how does a typical business works in the industry.
Yeah.
Right? These kind of calls are not left with large volume of people. These calls are centralized. Only someone senior at a pay grade will be given this possibility or the power to write off such numbers. Those critical decisions, all I'm trying to say is centralized.
Yeah.
And when it's centralized, from a contact center perspective, it would typically lie with L4, not with L1. Right? And you're not even trying to do L4.
So my question is that we are using generative AI, and how do we ensure the safety and privacy of customer data?
There are multiple ways. One is obviously if you try and deploy it on your own tenant and you kind of block it that it cannot go outside. Obviously, it resides in your own tenant, right? It's within your own infra, and hence it will not go outside. Now second question is, within your premises, within your infra, how do you ensure the safety? There are ample of methods. So it is, once it's within your infra, it's comparable to data there in your database versus this model. And then there are, the problem gets, I would say, constructed in a very different kind of a definition, and those definitions are well defined. But yes, the moment you try and use maybe OpenAI or those kind of things, that's a risk. Honestly, that's a risk. And ideally, one should, a lot of enterprises are pulling back because of that.
Yes.
Right? And typically the thing is, do you really need to share the PII there? Why is a PII required for generative models or large language models? It's not required. Right? Why can't you just mask it? Just mask it and then share it. there's no problem. Great initiative. This absolutely will give them a lot of feed to kind of think through once they're outside or after this event, and I'm sure they'll kind of leverage it sooner or later. आज समझ में नहीं आया कोई बात नहीं, बाद में समझ में आ जाएगा. But at least you have started on that journey. Thank you.